that ain't nobody done as many short sales as me, as successful as me with the spreads as me. I'm a real estate investor. Been investing since 2000. I specialize in pre-foreclosures, specifically short sales. I'm deemed and known around the nation as the short sale master. Challenges are good, you know. The more the challenging the economy, the better for me, because I thrive in down markets. You know, of course, it's easy to make money in up markets when everything are up, but what do you do when these properties ain't flying off the shelf anymore? You have to create value. I got to feed these kids.
What's going on, millionaires? It's your guy Kai Speaks back for another episode of the $1 Million Mind podcast. And this is one for the books because this is a money conversation, an investment conversation. But first, Jazz, how you feeling? My co-host, Heavy House Jazz, what it do?
So I'm feeling great, super excited to tap in with the Short Sale Masters. So it's a lovely day.
Yeah, Jazz kind of hinted at who we got. We got this brother in the building known as the Short Sale Master. And if y'all can't tell, if you are not in the real estate space, you may not know what a short sale is. So don't worry, we're going to have him give y'all the sauce, give y'all the game. But for those that have been tapping into real estate, you might have heard a couple people mention short sale as, as an entry into real estate. But this is definitely going to be a money conversation because we got Kendall in the building, the short sale king, short sale master. And Kendall, just tell our listeners a little bit about like how long you've been doing, the short sale method, what that is, and like what even got you into the mix in that area.
Okay, easy. Well, I'm Kendall Rouser, affectionately known as the short sale master. I've been in real estate since 1999. Started making money with it in 2002.
Okay.
I started wholesaling, but very quickly in 2002, I did a deal where I was wholesaling a deal, and someone called me about this particular property that I was wholesaling, and the gentleman told me that he was able to get the price down because that particular client and his particular client in the story he was telling me had a mortgage on the property. So he said he was able to get the mortgage balance down by just sending Polaroid pictures, because at this time they didn't have like digital cameras. They were out, but they was like $8,000.
Right.
So they didn't have digital cameras like they are so frequently used now. So we were still taking pictures with Polaroid cameras, disposable Polaroid cameras. So he told me he was able to get the price down on the mortgage by just taking pictures of all the damages to the house. So literally, I don't remember that guy's name, but if you remember the conversation that we had and you remember that, call me, because I have him to thank for giving me that game. And it was just one conversation. So literally 2 weeks later, I made a offer on a listed property that was on MLS. I think it was listed for like $60,000, but I made an offer for $20,000, real low. So when the agent called me back, she was like, "Oh, you need to go see the house." And I'm like, "Well, why are you talking about seeing the house and you didn't even say anything about my low offer?"
Right.
So, and the reason why, because the house needed a lot of damages. It had a lot of damages and it needed a lot of work.
Yeah.
So I went to see the house, and when I saw the house, I said, I remember what that guy told me. So I said, I got something I want to try. And, I'm new. Number one, I'm new in the real estate as a whole. Definitely new at this technique. So this strategy. So I took pictures of the home with a Polaroid disposable camera. I literally next dayed the pictures to Bank One. That was the bank that I was working with at the time. So I next dayed the pictures to the bank. They received my offer and they received the pictures. But prior to me sending the pictures next day, I lowered my offer after seeing the property, like the agent told me, you need to go see it. So I dropped the price to $5,000.
Wow, from the 20,000.
From the 20, which she had
You went
listed
from
for 60.
20 to 5.
Yes, sir.
I want to know how they took that information.
So I'm about to tell you.
Yeah.
So when they received the offer of $5,000, the bank received my pictures. They saw the damages of the property, and they counted at $7,500. So I literally sold that house the next week for $23,500. That was my first big deal, and ever since then, I was like, "Why do anything else?"
Yeah.
I've been doing it ever since.
This is it.
So obviously, I mastered the game of how this process worked, because for me at that time, it was all new.
Yeah.
But that's what I was doing early on, just taking pictures of all the damages that was needed to the properties. Next day in it, this was kind of like, there was email, but we really wasn't emailing like that. At least in the short sale departments of the banks that I was working with initially. So
question for you. So when you saw this property on the MLS, how was it listed? Was it listed as a short sale?
Oh, no. It was just listed as, a regular listing. But after, seeing the property and then meeting the agent and she telling me there was a loan on it and everything and, that, oh, by the way, the client owed $72,000 on the loan with Bank One. So I got the bank down just by sending pictures at the time.
Yeah.
And they counted at $7,500. And this is way before I honed my skills as to what it is today.
Right.
This was just
like as far as like a negotiation and stuff.
I ain't had to do nothing. I just sent them pictures.
Man.
So essentially, you got that house down to less than 10%, even what was owed on the mortgage.
Absolutely.
So what happened with the mortgage?
Oh, the bank, when you're doing the short sale, that's the whole purpose of it. The bank is taking less than what's owed, and, that's hence short. They're shorting the balance. So that's what happened. The clients didn't have to worry about it. The bank wrote it off.
Definitely wanted to make that clear to our audience.
Yeah, that's definitely game. I appreciate you for pointing that out, Jazz. There was a couple things that I noticed in that too. One was you said you got started in 1999. So I'm already thinking like, we got an OG in the building. We don't got no newbie. Like he said, I'm true to this. I'm not new to this. Right. And then when you mentioned you first made bread in real estate in 2002, right? What did that 3 years look like? Because I'm thinking nowadays we got social media, we got all these different gurus, people not spending 3 years in a craft, making no money before they transition or get that shiny nickel syndrome. What was you doing to stay steadfast on, real estate is the goal
Well,
for
prior
3
to
years?
real estate, I was a computer tech head. So, that's what I did. I graduated high school, went to DeVry for a year, got out of DeVry and just started working in computer hardware. So, like, I worked everywhere. CNN, TBS, IBM, Gateway, Lucent Technology, MCI, Gulfstream, like, I worked just doing contracts, computer hardware, and that's what I did to stay afloat. And obviously, I didn't have any kids at the time, so I had all my time, and I could focus on that. And I remember the last or the only corporate job I had, because all the other jobs prior to that point were just contractors. I was worked 6 months here, 9 months here, a year here, and I worked at MCI, right? And this is when I started learning real estate at the same time, working there and learning real estate. So I would always be late from learning real estate. So by that time I had did a deal. So I remember coming in and they said, Kendall, we got to talk to you. And they said, well, you've been late a lot. And I said, and they started saying whatever they were saying. And I said, well, you know what? This is my last day. I said, I made more money doing this real estate than what y'all paying me in the whole year on one deal. So that was my last day at MCI.
I love it.
That's crazy.
I remember that's how I felt when I left my job.
You felt the same way?
I made more money in real estate than I did at Casa Permanente. Yes, that's that.
Yeah. So like leading up to that, obviously before, was the timing just almost perfect where they kind of started to give you this grief and you was already making money in real estate?
Yeah, I was already making
money. Got you. Because I know some people also are receiving grief from their jobs before they actually making that bread where they feel comfortable just kind of leaving like that.
Well, I didn't have any responsibilities other than myself, no kids, so it was an easy decision for me.
Easy decision.
I just left.
Okay, man. So backtracking just a little bit because I want to make sure that our audience is clear on like what the short sale process is. That's essentially when someone is upside down on the mortgage, and then the bank is, I guess, going under pre-foreclosure, but they list the property to see how much can we collect off of this before we take a L. That's kind of where I'm understanding it, but correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah.
So a short sale is ultimately a bank agreeing to accept less than what a person owed on their unpaid principal balance.
Got you.
So a person owes $300 currently, but the house is only worth $180, and I come in as an interested party, still working with that homeowner because they still own it. So a short sale has to be a pre-foreclosure. Can be a house that's already been foreclosed on. So it's always going to be a house that is still owned by the owner. They're just upside down, like you stated, and the bank is willing to accept less than what's owed based on the condition, the current comparables, but more so the condition. That's really how I'm able to get these prices down, is the condition. Because in every case, all the short sales that I've worked that were very successful, the house needed a lot of work.
Do the homeowners still owe on that home after it's sold, or is that like treated as like a bankruptcy? Like what happens with that,
It's
that
not
loan?
a bankruptcy. So what could happen just depends on the lender. Some banks, so I started in '99. So when I first did my first short sale in 2002, the banks at the time, they just would write it off. But as the years progressed and a lot of people started doing short sales, and as the market changed and the only way you could do or sell a home at that particular time, I say 2006 beyond. A lot of people didn't feel the crash until 2008, but I knew it was going to crash in 2006 because it was just unbelievable how easy it was for people to get loans in the real wild, wild west, And I was like, man, this was ridiculous. Like she mentioned, stated income. You could just breathe and get a loan. And a lot of those clients were those type of loans. I already knew it was going to happen. I was telling people it was going to crash.
Wow.
And I benefited from it. But to piggyback on your question, so it just depends on who the bank is. Some banks will just release it and that's it. But some banks, person owed $200,000, the bank accepts $100,000. So that $100,000 difference, they will send the homeowner at the end of the year, I think a 1099, I think it's a 1098, as if it was income, ordinary income to them. But
they transfer the tax back to the original owner.
But here's the good thing. George Bush, the son, when he was in office, he created an act called the Debt Forgiveness Act. And it said if a transaction like this was to happen, and this was your primary residence, that the IRS is not to treat it as ordinary income. So that was a great thing for people who had to do short sales on their primary residence. But even for those who didn't do short sales on their primary residence and they did it on investment properties, they still, you just got to have a good tax professional. Because just think about it. You bought the house for $300,000. Now you're having to sell it for $100,000. That's a loss.
That's a loss. Yeah, that's a huge loss.
You just got to have a tax professional that know how to write all losses for you. That's absolutely a loss. It's in writing.
And how are people identifying this? Is this like, did they just happen to be in the market to want to sell their home because they want to buy a new home, and then they just stumble across finding out, damn, my home is worth less than I paid for it? Like, how do you even identify that a home is short sale qualified? Yeah.
That's good. I was gonna ask.
Yeah. Most of the time, when people list their homes and it's not selling, the market's always going to tell you what it is,
right?
And the timing at the time. So prior to the market crashing, I'm saying 2006, but a lot of people would say that the market started crashing 2008 and beyond until it recovered. But prior to that happening, short sales was really for like people who lost their job, probate, somebody died. A person died, but they still had a loan. The family members had to take over that asset, and nobody in the family wanted to pay the bill. So, they would either call me, get referred to me, or listed with a real estate agent, and then all my business is referrals. So somehow they got to me. But nevertheless, prior to the market shifting and changing and crashing, that's really what short sales, in my experience early on, was for. People who had divorced. Somebody died. That was really the two things I worked with a lot when I was doing short sales early on. Got you.
So this is more so like a method as a wholesaler. Short sale is kind of like a method of wholesaling.
Oh yes, because at the end of the day, if I did not buy the home myself, I wholesaled it. So
yeah.
It's just a way of creating a deal. So now in the whole atmosphere or hemisphere of this wholesale real estate community, people are wholesaling and people are, teaching you the strategies and techniques of how to negotiate with homeowners. But here's the thing. When I work in short sales, I don't have to negotiate with a homeowner.
Yeah.
Everybody that comes to me, they want to sell their home. They want to sell their home. They don't live in their home. They ain't been there 3 years. They care less about it. Here's the deed. Here you go.
Because it's toe up to the flow up. So
yeah, if that's the condition. But I also have done short sales on nice homes.
Okay.
So 2008 and after that, when it was predominantly everything had to be short sold to be sold. Man, the banks were just, they were just getting rid of them. I worked short sales when the clients were current. The house was pretty. Didn't have a lot of work needed.
There was so many.
But the value dropped. So person owed $800,000 is only worth 410 now.
The banks were negotiating with
Yeah.
the actual buyers. I mean, with the people that own the loan.
I have a
They
lot
have
of
enough short sale people.
I had a lot of clients, a lot of friends of mine that had residential loans, and the banks would actually send them letters say, "Hey, I know you owe 200, but we'll drop it to this."
Yep, and give you a 2% on this only.
Yeah.
I
Man.
have a friend. I remember this. I remember this.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
if-
that's when I got into real estate.
Yeah.
So if you, I'm just trying to think like if you are in like somebody's position where you can't afford your mortgage, instead of you just saying I can't afford this no more, letting the bank know, try to sell it, see if the value is less, and you kind of taking the bank is taking a loss on it, and you just kind of like wipe your hands clean with
I mean,
it.
at the end of the day,
This is
that is it. Because guess what's
They
going to
get
happen
write-ups all the time.
if they don't sell, it's going to get foreclosed on, and
They're
guess
still
what?
gonna lose money and can't pay back the feds.
The bank has to hire an attorney, spend $8,000 to $10,000 foreclosing, depending on who the bank is, depending on the seller. Because if that seller is somewhat astute and has filed bankruptcy several times to stay in the home, they spending money every time. You know, the bank is spending money, even if they have a go-to attorney that they're using. The big attorney firms out here that are employed by the major banks that I work with a lot. They still have to pay.
Yeah.
So it costs. So, back then in 2008, shoot, man, the banks would just get rid of them. So, man, it was a good time.
Yeah.
And
Kendall,
Mm-hmm.
today, if this property is not listed as a short sale, how do you identify that type of
very, very easy. Everything that's in the foreclosure paper is a possible short sale candidate. Here in most states in the nation, they have to advertise, in the paper for 4 consecutive weeks. Also, depending on whether, like in the state of Georgia, we are in a non-judicial foreclosure state, which means it has to be advertised in the paper for 4 weeks. That's it. The only way you can stop it from getting foreclosed on if you file bankruptcy or if the bank voluntarily stops it. Or you come to me and
You sell
do a
it.
short sale. And in other states, it's judicial, whereas they have more time to redeem, or their process is different in states where it's a judicial foreclosure. But nevertheless, it has to be advertised in a legal paper of that county in that state of which the property is located. So those papers come out, and you could that's one main way to get some short sale leads. But I always tell, because that's a great question, people ask me, well, how do I, know if I can, get a short sale lead? How do I come across short sale leads? How do I get short sale leads? I say, well, your regular means of marketing, now that you know what a short sale is, a lot of times you already came across a possible lead. You just didn't do the deal because the numbers didn't work. And a lot of times you have to ask. I ask, like, okay, what's your mortgage balance? Because, when I'm calling a seller, just on a regular wholesale deal, I'm looking up all that before I even speak to him or her. Especially if I think it's a hot lead, especially if it came through my cold calling, came in my polio system, and it's a hot lead. I'm looking that up anyway. So I'm seeing what the numbers are, I'm giving myself a gauge by looking at what the purchase price was, and I can, if you have prop screen, it tells you what the mortgage balance is. So I looked that up. So I already know if it's they purchased the home in 2021 and they paid $200,000 for it, they probably still
owe a good amount,
unless they put a significant down payment. And I can figure that out too by the sales price and the mortgage amount. But nevertheless, I always tell investors, just your regular means of advertising, however you get deals. Now I give them criteria, like these are the steps, these are the things you want to look at, and those are if the house is really messed up. Obviously as a wholesaler, we want it to have some needed repairs, because that could make it easier for us to negotiate when the property is in disarray. Number 2, if the house has a mortgage on it. I'm gonna have to say that's probably number 1, that the house has a mortgage on it.
Right.
Can't do a short sale on something that's been foreclosed on. That's an REO. It has to have a mortgage on it. The homeowner still has to own it. That's number 1. Number 2, like I say, it needs a lot of work. And that's those are the 2 main criteria that I'm looking at. And then I ask the situation, whether it be, they getting a divorce, or, someone has passed, or those it. That's
the motivation.
Yeah. In which cases does the situation matter? Like, is there a difference on how your processes are if someone is getting a divorce versus if somebody passed?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There's definitely a difference, because when someone passes, it's very easy to do a short sale, because in the days of old, but not so much in my experience here recently. In the days of old, to do a short sale, some of the required documents needed was like pretty much the same documents you needed when you buying a home, getting a mortgage on a home. If you're working, you need pay stubs, you need bank statements. You need all the same documents you literally would need when you purchase a home. But if someone is deceased, they're deceased. They don't have any of that. There's no financials to show. I mean, they still have bills, but they're deceased.
So you're dealing with the owner of the estate, or
I'm dealing with the heir of the estate, whoever is the administrator, executor, trustee.
And they don't have to have none of that.
Don't have all that's needed on when someone is deceased is really my offer, showing and proving to the bank that, hey, they owe $300, but I have a repair estimate for $80,000. Here it is, my offer, my repair estimate, and any other documents that I want that are required of the heirs. Because prior to that point, if someone has passed, someone has to step up to the plate and become the heir or administrator of that estate for that mortgager. So when that happens, then that's the person I'm dealing with anyway. But they also have to give me authority to even talk to the bank, the heir, the administrator of the estate, whoever is over that deceased person's affairs.
This kind of reminds me of the conversation we had with Benny of like the pre-planning of something like this. Like, what if there's a situation where someone doesn't have like a will or a trust, and like this person isn't appointed before they pass? Is the state courteous enough to reach out to families and assign someone? Like, what then happens?
Eventually.
Okay.
The state will,
I thought it was a court appointment.
Yeah, it'll be a court appointed. But if that's the case and I'm working a deal, I know how to work all that.
So you're gonna.
I'm doing the
This
probate
where
form.
Kendall is like the guy.
Yeah.
So I like the probates, but I know how to do probate myself.
I'm glad that you said that.
I'm not an attorney. Like, the only time I will do it won't do it if I'm busy.
Yeah.
And I'll just hire one of my attorneys to do it. But I like to do it because I'm hands-on. I have to be in control. Number one, a short sale has a lot of moving parts. And you got to know how to manage these moving parts, especially when someone is deceased and you're working a short sale. So for me, I like to talk to the homeowners, and if that is the case, I need to know all the heirs. Did they have a will? Okay, if they had a will, what does the will say? If they didn't have a will, I need to know that as well. How many heirs? Were they married? Were they not married? Did they die intestate?
You got Jazz smiling from ear to ear. I want to know what your thoughts are, Jazz.
Because I have questions. I'm like, Kendall. So what stops you from going after a short sale? Would you say when somebody has a trust, would you stop?
No. I mean, a trust is just another way that they took title to the property.
Correct.
It still has a loan on it.
Correct.
And whoever is on that loan, that's, more likely that's the beneficiary of that trust anyway. So whoever they appointed as the trustee, I'll be working with him or her. But if it's in a trust, that don't stop me. It's the only time it would stop me if the homeowners or the family members just didn't want to do a short sale.
Understood. Understood. But it's still a question, essentially.
Oh yeah, great question.
Got it.
Great question.
Is there like in your business? I want to know, because you've been in this for a minute, Kendall, and now I'm sure the things have changed in the wholesale industry.
Definitely.
Like, how do you feel about these new wholesalers, new ways that people are wholesaling, from coming from a guy that's been wholesaling since '99?
And hey,
yeah,
man, these guys, I think they have it easier.
Easier, okay.
But way easier. When I started, it was barely internet, barely Google. There was really no databases. Wasn't no prop screen. Wasn't no YouTube. Wasn't none of that.
So it was truly the Wild Wild West when you was doing it.
Yeah. So you really had to know what you were doing, and yeah, man, you just had to know what you're doing. So now, to answer your question, I think it's just so much easier. And as a result, you have people who are wanting to get into it, which is great, and they can stay into it if they just have to learn the fundamentals. You know what I mean? The databases, the software, the systems, they aid and help, but you got to know the fundamentals of this thing first, baby. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I feel a lot of the wholesalers are losing out on, because they don't have the fundamentals.
Yeah.
And what happens, they learn what they learned and they execute on it and they make money. And when something happens, when the market shifts, when things change, you don't know how to adapt.
Yeah.
I've been through this 3 times.
This happened to us before.
Yeah. I've been through the changes. But the good thing about the short sales, that's why I love them. No matter if it's good or bad, it's even, it's even more profitable when it never stops. I ain't never stopped doing them. Even when the market went up or down, people still going to be losing homes.
Always over budget. Always over budget. You are essentially really smart. And this is where the part of real estate for me gets exciting because there's so many avenues to it. And if you can literally pick something and make your whole life great in it. And that's what I really see here is a man that picked something, left an industry of tech, and he solves problems. You're helping people. And then you become a master over literally some decades there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that says that you have a lot of knowledge to be able to help other people that are, in this wholesale game or even in the real estate game overall from many aspects. Because it's not just wholesaling. It's saving a family from money, even when they've already lost money, and people. Yeah. And that's a real loss.
Yeah.
So I think your aspect of real estate really, really is interesting. It's not just about the money. When you think about foreclosure, it's a real tough spot to be in.
Yeah, it is. Foreclosure, divorce, whatever the scenario is. But in all those scenarios,
it's not just saying like, oh, I want to sell, I'm old.
People. Yeah. It's
different. It's really that bread and butter of like, there is a problem at hand.
Yeah.
And so there's there's an either underlying problem, right? And you already can identify it. So you're passionate about it. I would love to see other people be able to get your insight and your help.
So, being a short sale master, I mastered not only the strategies and techniques of doing it, but problem solving. That's 1,000,000% what it is.
And you know how you said basically you don't have to market anymore because it's a relationship thing for you. Do you feel like you get more relationship work because of the field within real estate, the niche of real estate you're in?
Yeah, that's the only way I get my business. I haven't advertised in 15 years.
Wow. So no marketing costs.
So all that money
that's crazy.
In marketing, this guy doesn't have to.
Yo.
Then now that I'm here with you guys, I'm more frequent. I will be more frequent on social media. So case in point, I just posted a couple videos, a couple little things out there, and I got a deal off of it.
Free marketing, organic.
In Birmingham, so
Nice.
That's crazy. So when you mentioned like how the wholesaling has changed with the introduction of these softwares like PropStream and everything like that, would you say that those softwares have changed the way some of your processes, or what was like a pivotal change in the market that may have changed how you do business in any regard?
It could definitely help me scale up,
Gotcha.
if I chose to. But like I said, I've just been solo entrepreneur doing what I do and been very successful at it. But now I want to teach the world of how I do this. So the tools that are out now makes it much easier to get these leads, specifically by, for example, prop screens. You can put in certain filters to get over leveraged deals. A lot of people, they go there and they want to get all the deals with equity. I don't. I'm looking for deals that are over leveraged. You know what I'm saying?
And the foreclosed list that you mentioned, is that a free list that people have access to?
It's a free list, but obviously there's third-party companies that that compile the data in easily Excel spreadsheet format. So then,
so you have all the phone numbers and stuff like that.
Trace it and or give it to your cold callers to call.
Got you. Just like a PropStream would do.
Yeah.
And so for someone,
but the lists are free. Like I still use the free list.
Okay. And it has good information, like the numbers are good, contact information.
What the information that's going to be listed in a foreclosure notice is the original borrower's name,
Got
the
you.
original loan amount, and the address. That's all I need.
Oh, so you still got to do research to find the contact information.
The contact information. Just like a regular wholesale.
So you're gonna do your own skip tracing.
Well, I hired somebody to do that.
Okay, got you. I see where you're coming from. So someone,
that's now where it makes it easier to to not do the tedious things anymore.
Gotcha.
Correct.
So for someone watching this and it's like, yo, I want to learn from Kendall. Short selling seems like the method. You know, I've been getting these signs because we had a lot of wholesalers on here. None of them talking about short selling. A lot of them talking about, you know, the traditional wholesaling, novating, fix and flip, all that other stuff, right?
Yeah.
When people watch wholesaling and now he's like, okay, I got an interest, I want to get in a short sale. What would you say like the average budget or like startup cost would be for someone new trying to get into like short selling and getting into real estate through that avenue?
A couple $100s, and I say that because the papers are free. You know, depending on what market, you know, the listeners are listening from, but still in the United States, you know, they have to advertise whether you're in a non-judicial or judicial foreclosure state. They have to advertise in the paper. You can get those papers for free. They advertise in the paper for free. That's one way to get a bunch of the leads. That's probably one of the main ways outside of once you start doing short sale successfully and people put your name out there, you know, the organic and referrals, that's one of the best ways. But budget wise, not over $1,000. And that would be inclusive of if you chose to buy, you know, the foreclosure list from the third party companies who all they do is they just go to the free paper and they'll compile the data, or they might have a direct connection with the county that offers this data, and they have a direct connection, and then they, you know, put it in an Excel format and they sell it.
Yeah,
you could do that as well.
What would you say it takes for someone to, you know, be successful? Maybe not take 3 years, but be successful, you know, closing their first short sale deal, or some red flags that people should look out for that are clearly identify, hey, this is a deal you might need to stay away from.
Oh yeah. Working with deals that, you know, once again, the house needs a lot of work, is still a loan on it, and it's over leveraged.
Okay.
Don't work with a deal like, I haven't done short sales on like houses that's $300,000, but it's worth $350,000. No.
Got you.
Nobody going for that.
Got you.
You know what I mean? Back in the day, they did though, but not now.
Yeah.
When I say back in the day, meaning banks were just getting rid of it. They didn't want to chance it. Like, okay, yeah, this person owes the house. Might be worth $350,000, and they owe $300,000, but this person offers us $210,000. We're gonna take this $210,000. But now, you know, obviously, since the market has recovered somewhat, but it is changing.
It is.
The market is changing. It's slowing down as far as these sales are concerned, especially as far as it relates to hedge fund buyers, you know, the INET buyers in the market, but even retail buyers. I mean, I spoke to one of my main mortgage ladies the other day, and she stated to me she was killing them doing the short sale because she was doing a lot of refinances, especially when the market and the interest rates drop. But currently now, it's been slow. She said she had to get a part-time job. And she never had to get a part-time job as a mortgage broker because of how the industry is. So if that isn't, for me, that's a tall tale sign, because I have worked with this lady exclusively. You know,
so it shows people not in the market to buy right now, at least retail, like people who need loans.
Absolutely. Because of, you know, the interest rate.
Yeah, they're all.
Yeah.
I mean,
But the funny thing, people are saying, you know, the interest rate 7% or whatever, 7, 8, whatever it is. But when I first started, that was a regular interest
that's
rate.
regular.
7 interest was good.
So it's like
These are real interest rates. Those other ones were fake for so long.
3%.
them 3% interest rates. Okay.
I want to know what you think about this, because since we're talking about the market changing, right? Because, right, everybody, the Fed's already said interest rates are going to drop, okay, 2024, 2025. But we all know what happens when interest rates drop, right?
Yeah.
What does that do? Drive the house prices up.
Yeah.
So we're already up.
Yeah.
So where do you think we're going?
Well, for those who acquired these properties and got these loans at the 2%, 3%, in my opinion, if one bump in the road happened to that
I
family,
already know.
it's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
They're gonna be back out there.
Because the bank can't do anything for you.
And why?
All they
Why
can
so?
do is turn to Kendall or me
Yeah.
to either sell the property
in
or
my
short
opinion, is because, you know, they barely were able to afford. The only reason they're able to afford the home because of the 2%, 3%
Probably
interest
got it.
rate.
Got you, because they most likely paid an inflated price on the home.
And even then, they like to,
So
they like
it's
to
going to
try
appreciate
come in.
very, very, very slow.
Slow.
Got you.
It
So they probably got no equity
It
still.
probably isn't worth what they owe right now. And especially if they got a loan between 2000 and 1999 and now, when the interest rates were low. Once again, if they have a bump in the road financially, anything happens with the economy, it's going to affect the housing. it's going to affect the people who, in my opinion, who bought houses they barely could afford it, really. And the only reason they were able to buy this $400,000 home because of a 2% interest rate.
Starting to make sense now.
FHA.
Starting to make sense.
Yeah.
So they already up in it.
Yeah.
I would rather value the equity over a low interest rate.
Yeah.
So like a low interest rate.
Interest rate down.
Yeah.
Money.
And maybe like refinance and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, obviously, they ain't finna refinance now.
You can't. Yeah, you can't refinance. It
don't make sense.
Yeah.
They definitely gonna be messed up.
Yeah.
And don't let those who man, that's a good angle too. I didn't think about that just till now. So for those who might get into money issues, they might try to refinance to pull some equity out. If there is any.
If there is, right?
If they bought right.
Yeah.
Correct.
And if they bought retail, they ain't bought right, in my opinion. Nobody.
Agreed.
So there ain't no equity, so you can't even refinance because you're not unlocking anything.
No, not at all.
Wow.
The only thing you could try to do is a ELOC, home equity line of credit.
And this is the best part about understanding real estate as an asset. I love what you're talking about. Like, I'm always about educating my client. My biggest thing is education in real estate. If you don't understand what the asset is, you can say, I want a home all you want. But if you don't know how to work the asset or understand where the money actually comes from and the generational wealth, you're dead. It's just a dead asset.
Yeah.
And it's more opportunities for those banks just to take advantage of you, or those predatory people, unlike ourselves, that really solve problems that are just in it for the money.
So, my way to solve problem is going back to the bank and, once again, negotiating the loan balance down, because, hell, you shouldn't even give them a loan for that amount.
You knew it. But they know.
Yeah. And you mentioned, Kendall, that it's like with short sales, like it's always going to be around, because people are always going to be losing homes, unfortunately.
Somebody always going to die. Somebody going to get divorced. Somebody going to relocate.
But is there a specific time of year that, there are more opportunities than others for a wholesaler to do short sale?
So I will tell you from my point of view, and customarily I made, just the most money in real estate the last quarter. Around Christmas time.
That's what I was thinking.
The last quarter.
December, last quarter of the year for me always.
It's always the last quarter for a lot of things. This is the last quarter for, even for giving. Like when people want to, get more donations, they probably get the most donations towards the last quarter. Yeah. But also people losing their homes, they losing them in the last quarter.
Yeah.
Why? What about it? The last quarter is, is it people over leveraging themselves?
Yes,
or?
From a consumer point of view, Christmas and,
business is over leveraging. Everybody's over leveraging. So they're pulling back.
Speaking of over leverage, how do y'all feel? This is a little bit off topic, but what do y'all feel about Black Friday? I feel like this year, of most recent years, Black Friday was like not hitting. Nobody fell for the scam. Nobody saw no deals. I saw Walmart was empty on Black Friday, where a few years ago people was fighting over TVs. Yeah. This is an example of how businesses may be over leveraged, because a lot of them bank on Black Friday as that's what puts them back in the black, from the red. As investors, what are y'all thoughts if y'all have been following what's been going on with like Black Friday deals, from a
I really hadn't been following, but I sensed that I didn't really see too much marketing about it nowhere online outside of, in the digital space.
Yeah.
But as far as consumers and big brands, the Walmarts, Best Buys and all these big brands selling stuff, I believe Amazon is taking a lot of that.
Amazon killing
Amazon's killing it. Let's just Amazon's killing it.
Yeah. So they killing in that space. So that's probably outside of the Black Friday thing. Just people buying online, specifically Amazon. It's hindered some of the big brands.
I think
Bottom
Amazon
lines.
is a telltale sign that people are transitioning to online more, which is why I think we see a lot of like rise in like online education and just digital products, digital services, everything, because people want to do everything from the comfort of their home.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We don't have time.
Yeah.
We don't. It's so weird that we don't have time.
We have time, but we don't have time, right? It's weird, like you said. But for you, Kendall, like seeing the shift in like digital products, like where does that put you? Like, are you still going out to every property, or like are you taking a more digital, like work from home stance on like how you do business now?
Well, with what I do, I don't see properties until I'm engaged or locked in with a homeowner that wants to do a short sale. Even if it's not a short sale, same thing with a wholesale. I don't go see properties until I feel I can close them.
Yeah.
And that's the only time to go see properties. A lot of and I will say this to the listeners, a lot of the newbies or a lot of the seasoned investors, hey, in my opinion, don't go see a property until that seller is ready to sell, until that if there's more than one person that has to, more than one person that's the decision maker on selling that property, you got him or her, together, and they do want to sell. 'Cause otherwise you just be wasting time. I used to tell all the people who used to work for me, I used to teach, that, hey, they would call me all the time. I got one. Okay, that's nice. Well, look it up, see what the loan balance is, if there is a loan, see what's going on with it first. That's what I like to do. I like to look up the property first. I like to look and see if there's a loan on it first, even before I even call the homeowner, Or if I get a lead in my system, that's what I'm doing, because a lot of times my cold callers, yes, they'll get whatever information that seller gives to them, but a lot of times they don't get all of it.
Yeah.
So if it's a hot lead and I get it, I'll look it up. I'll go see if there's a mortgage on it first. They owe taxes. I'll do like a preliminary, because I can do it quickly. It don't take me a long time. A preliminary title.
Yeah.
I think that right there will save a lot of newbie and seasoned wholesalers or investors alike who don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Because you put a deal under contract and you're trying to sell it and you get to close and they got a federal tax lien. I know that the first day. I'm not waiting on an attorney to do that. I'm looking that up myself. And obviously with a lot of the databases that are out there now, it makes it easier to. And luckily for me in my state, there's another website that I use. I can look up all that information, and and I know before I even speak to the seller. Because when I'm speaking to a seller, whether I feel it's going to be a short sale, just a regular wholesale deal, I'm talking to them, letting them know I know what's up. Hey, I see you got this loan with Wells Fargo you got in 2010. And, I see you got when you bought it, you refinanced it, or when you bought it, you got $180,000 owed on it. What's up with that mortgage? Now, how much are you currently owed now? By doing that, you let that seller know that so they can't not, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So going forward, they know that so, I know that I have that type of negotiating range, if there's any equity in that property. So a lot of people don't do that. They just wait on an attorney. No. You got to do that stuff yourself.
That's crazy.
Easy. And I mean, that's free information.
Yeah. I asked that because I see a lot of like wholesalers and stuff like that now, giving these gurus telling people the best way to get free leads is like driving for dollars and door to door. But I feel like that's wasting a lot of time this is like we're in sync. Yeah. That's like, I feel like that's wasting a lot think.
I was gonna ask.
Well, I got a question then. Why do you say that? Because I still drive for dollars.
No, we're not saying driving for dollars is dead. I think this is the better question.
Yeah.
With all the lead generation automation today, do you still feel like cold calling is the best way to generate leads?
It depends on you as the person.
Well, again, he getting a lot of he getting these referrals. He's the referral king.
OG speaking to the new.
Yeah. Some people just like cold calling and they master that. Like if it was my sister.
Yes.
That's all she's been doing for 20 years, been on the phone. So she gonna kill it.
Got it.
Boom, 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 boom. It's nothing to her.
Yeah.
It's like breathing. But even with all those cold leads as opposed to boom, you get 1,000 warm leads or 1,000 hot leads. Who says it's warm leads? The database?
Right. I mean, well, no, meaning these people. So right now, for example, right, they're basically having companies outsource the whole cold calling, right, pipelining that seller, and just putting them into where that they are ready to sell and this is a problem. I mean, if you could speed up that process and cut out those dollars.
Oh, I'm with speeding up the process.
Would you rather keep cold calling, or do you think that these automated lead generation systems are actually worth putting your money into today?
I just ain't never had no experience with it. So.
I get it.
I will say this though, in my opinion, the best list is the list you create.
Really? Okay.
Period.
And all right, so
especially with driving for dollars. If that's your means right now, until you're able to get your money up to try some of these other, because yes, all those are definitely time saving factors, but it's just about finding that right company and make sure the leads that they give you. For case in point, somebody out the blue, I don't even know how he got me, but on WhatsApp, he said, I got leads, I can get you leads. So he sent me, I said, I'm not, he said, send $70. I said, man, send me a list. I'm not paying for nothing until you send me something. Man, all he sent me was leads that were listed.
Yeah.
Bro.
That's what I wonder about. Okay, so that's what I wondered about the whole automation of leads, generation. Is how can you trust those leads?
Yeah.
Who's taking
Who's verifying them?
Who's verifying it?
Yeah.
Right? Because for me, wanting to control don't control my money, it's like I'd rather do the cold call. Hey, who has a freaking hand raised?
Yeah.
And I want to know, and transition you in front of you straight through to us, right? As opposed to this whole group of people, we never know if their business is doing great or not, or how they're capturing these leads, and how quality they really are by the time we get to them.
So let me ask you this then, Kendall, because I was not saying that driving for dollars is dead, but as an OG, for the newbie who is on a budget, when is driving for dollars appropriate, and how long should you be driving for dollars before you start acting on your leads or compiling your list and doing something that's going to bring the revenue in?
Well, in my opinion, I never stopped driving for dollars, so I'm gonna kind of be.
You for it?
I'm for it.
Yeah, it sounds
I
like
feel
it.
like all the old school sellers,
I got one of my friends. Shout out to OT.
That's crazy.
All he does is he'll just drive in the neighborhood, and all the best deals he ever got is from driving in the neighborhood, seeing somebody cutting grass, stopping, and say, "Hey, you the owner?" I said, "Yeah, I want to sell. I want to sell this one and the two I got over here." So. For newbies,
maybe it's not the.
You're right.
In my opinion, for newbies, you never stop driving for dollars. You just got to know.
You got to know how to talk.
Yep.
Well, especially if somebody is out in the field, because for me, if I'm out in the field and I see a vacant house, I'm going to the next door neighbor house on both sides and across the street. Especially if that property is an eyesore. A lot of times they have. Oh yeah, I know he's.
Oh, I know who.
Here's his number.
Spoken like a true vet, man. That's some smart stuff. I can't even hold you.
I got some new investors that's actually how they got their deals. They got them off the MLS, but it's just right across the street.
Yeah.
There was somebody else, and they talked to them, and then because they talked to them, they had a house around the corner. And you're right.
Yeah.
It's still those driving for dollars or knocking for dollars and just leaving it.
And ain't nothing wrong with door knocking. That definitely works.
To me, this always brings me back to
it's time with some. But here's the thing: once you drive for dollars, you got some good leads. Talk to the homeowners, put them under contract. You got 4 or 5, you about to close. Then if you choose to do other avenues, you can do that. Or you can hire somebody else to drive for dollars for you. That's what the whole Deal Machine app is about, Shout out to my guy Byron out in Houston, but man, he that's one of the ways he blew up. He just hired like 3 or 4 people to drive for dollars for him. But now, if you initially start driving for dollars and you make some money that way and close some deals that way, now, hopefully you have funds to be able to afford doing these other things that you don't have to do. Because ultimately, in my opinion, as you're growing in this business, if you choose to stay in this business and treat it like a business, not a lick.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't want to be doing MWAs, minimum wage activities, and that's what driving for dollars is. If you're trying to scale.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you're just trying to do your 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, make your 80 to 100 extra for whatever it is you got going on in life, and that's suffice for you, then hey, drive for dollars.
Yeah.
But if you want to scale, obviously you got to use system. Obviously you gotta trust somebody, some data sources, because this business right now is all about data.
Yeah.
It's data. Trying to find and decipher who is selling, how to retrieve the best data so you can market to it, call to it, mail to it, whatever, advertise to it, etc.
And speaking of the data, it's like it all boils down to all the wholesale, all the real estate conversations we had. I feel like it all boils down to these 3 skills: people skills, sales and negotiation skills, and data organization.
Absolutely.
Out of those 3 skills, from your experience, if you had to pick one to because you know they say it take 10,000 hours to master something. If you had to pick one to invest your 10,000 hours, which of those 3 skills are you investing in?
People skills.
The people skills.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you're driving for dollars, right? So you better have some people skills.
And after that is data or organization.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying, and I could see why for short selling, probably like sales and negotiation is probably the least, because as you mentioned, it's not really much negotiation you got to do because.
Oh, it is. I mean, it's no negotiation that you have to do, but not necessarily with the homeowner. With
Right. And it's I'm thinking from the perspective of, because when I wholesaled, I was talking more so to homeowners that was either I might buy if the price right, or the ones that was interested in selling, but they looking at the market, they know that they neighbor's house sold for 400, they property worth 350, 370, but they want 410, and it's a lot more of an emotional negotiation going on as opposed to.
Well, I'll shut that down quick, because in every case, when the homeowners tell me that, oh, my neighbor, I said, no, he didn't. Here's the laptop. Put the address in. No, it didn't sell for 410. It sold for 185. Your neighbor told you a lie.
And a lot of neighbors do.
It don't be selling. It don't be selling with the neighbor. And the homeowners themselves just be saying that.
They just be they be bluffing. Well. They be bluffing for sure.
But even if they are bluffing, I'm gonna call them on their bluff, because oh really? This house right here? Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Oh no. It did sell. The last month for 100,000 than what you just saying, man.
For me, it was more so like, oh yeah, it did sell for 400, but check this out, they got the granite countertops, they got they got all this. Yo, John, you got Formica, you got like all this other stuff. So it's like it was a more tedious negotiation where I probably did one. It was like somewhat of a short sale where we talked to the bank and it was just more transactional. Just like we're talking to investors. It's a lot more transactional than talking to someone living in the home, probably stayed in the home for 20 years, put some money into the home. It's a lot more transactional talking to banks and investors for sure. Yeah.
And one other thing I will say as far as short sales is concerned, like I ain't gonna say unfortunately, but it just is what it is. So if someone gives me a lead and the homeowner wants to do a short sale, but that homeowner say, well, I got to get what I put in it. I got to get 50, 60,000. I don't even work with that client. I'll tell him, I say, ma'am, you owe 300, worth right now 200, 190, 200. How am I going to give you 50,000? Why would I give you 50,000? Number one, when you're doing a short sale, the bank doesn't allow the homeowner to make any money.
Right, you can't make no money.
The only concession that the banks will allow is like a relocation incentive. And they used to do that a lot back in the day. I haven't seen that recently, though. I haven't seen any banks giving any, at least the banks that I've been working with doing short sales, giving any concessions, right, like they used to do back in the day.
You want to know something, Kendall? Just thinking about this. That's a really good thing to actually start pitching to the banks if they don't want this place to turn into a tent city like California. So just in your line of business, just pitching like, hey, we are becoming big. Like, it might be incentivizing to give some people some relocation. Yeah. Like, that's how a lot of people got sent to California and became tent people from Oregon. I'm serious, from different places. They literally gave them relocation stipends.
Yeah, they did.
Like, hey, go to California, they'll give you housing.
10,000. Bank of America used to give 10, 20,000. Most of it was 3,000 though. I did a lot of 3,000 from my clients. Got them that money. So
get them riled back up.
Yeah. I mean, they might just do it.
What would you say I want to transition a little bit as we wrapping things up, Kendall. Like, what would you say are like some challenge? Because I feel like you're an authority in the space. A lot of people, don't just come to you for help with these short sales, but some people may be coming to you as they trying to get into short sales themselves. What are some challenges a lot of these other wholesalers are facing, and they come to you where you might help them solve those problems that they just didn't see with the sight of an OG, with you being in the industry for a while? Very simple. Great question. And I'll give you an example. But what I see that a lot of wholesalers are missing out is I know it's time consuming, but once you start to do it, it's easy. But the details of a deal, like what I stated earlier, like I'm looking up all the information, not just only what I might see in prop screen. There's other databases you got to get in tune with, especially in my market. There's a website that I use a lot, and it can give me like any lien, any credit card lien, IRS lien. So
this is great.
What I'm saying is just because you got a house under contract and you email it to your attorney, set up close and run title, it ain't over. You know, even after, you know, getting the seller to accept your offer and submitting it to the bank, what I think seasoned investor, new investors should continue to do is do the background work that one would assume and one thinks that the attorney is doing. And they will do it, but that might be 2-3 weeks down the line and you're ready to close and, oh, there's a lien. So what I suggest is learning how to do a preliminary title search. Yeah, definitely. On the properties that you have under contract. Not properties you don't have under contract, wasting time.
I'm
talking about properties that you have under contract. So that way you can find out, because me personally, if I'm on the phone with you and you're the seller, I'm looking it up while we're on the phone. I'm telling you about stuff you don't even know. Oh, what about this? You know you got a lien over here. Like, for example, I just sold a house, and the owners had ordered a filtration system for the home. So they didn't know that contractor or that company that they used put a UCC lien on them. And now they had to get a payoff for that. They have to pay. They were not done paying on that, right? So I looked it up and told them. Hell, I tell the attorney before they find it. So like when I'm putting the property under contract, I'm sending everything that I find to the attorney. I used to help attorneys
do their job,
find titles, do titles. I've saved attorneys' butts because I look up the title and they don't find something, or their title abstractor that they hired to run the title didn't find this lien, but I did. Because I remember when I first started out as a wholesaler, our money was predicated on a closing. So anything that came about will stop that money flow.
Yeah.
And I had that happen too many times, and I figured out, hey, man, what's wrong? Oh, let me figure it out. So now, to answer your question, what I suggest a lot of wholesalers do and continue to do and just make it a part of their process, whether they do it themselves or they have somebody on their staff. Anytime they get a property under contract, they got to learn to do their own little preliminary title. Using the systems that are out there that are available is much easier than it was before, you know, especially in other markets. Because, you know, I'm in Georgia market, so I definitely know the system and databases that I use here like the back of my hand. But even in other markets, when I attempt to do deals in other markets, they have systems as well. You know, some are even better than the systems that I use here in Georgia to find this type of data. But so as a whole, they just need to be don't leave their destiny in the hands of a closing attorney. Period. End of story.
Yeah, I've had some horror stories with some lazy closing attorneys. So that's all I got, Kendall. You gave me everything I needed. That was some gas, some game. Jazz, where your mind at with all this?
Kendall, with all of this information that you have in house, what do you want to tell the guests to look out for that you're coming up your sleeve with? You know, I know that you're getting into just wanting to give that education back. So
So for the audience, for the listeners, you know, just continue to look and listen to a lot of the value that I'm gonna be dropping, a lot of the content that I'm gonna be dropping to teach you guys, because I do believe the market has changed. It ain't changing, it's changed. And you have to learn and adapt to other skills, whether they be short selling, what I master. I'm definitely an authority. I ain't met nobody in this industry that's done what I've done. I got my receipts, you know, 06 to 07 in short sales, I made $16.9 million on short sales. Holler at me. I can show it to you. It's easy.
Wow.
You know, so I do this.
Talk
and
that
mind
talk.
you, that's just 3 years.
Yeah.
I started this in 2002.
Yeah, that's just
Making
like
money.
first
Going
3
forward.
years in real estate. Well, first 3
and-
years making money in real estate, made 16.9 million.
Oh, no, I started
you said
in
that
02.
in 1 year. That was
Oh no,
06,
in 1 year. But most people have their first $1 million year, not in their first 2 to 3 years making money. It's like it takes people a minute, 5
I had
years.
$1 million months
Yeah.
with this short sale thing.
Puffing that chest now, but he
mean,
talking
it
that
is
talk that big talk.
It is what it is. It's
Yeah.
what it
How
is.
can our audience get
Yeah,
in touch?
tap
with you?
in. We gotta tap in.
literally, even if it was just a phone call today, somebody needs your help. How can people tap in with Kendall?
Very simple. On all social media platforms, Short Sale Master. That's spelled SHORT SALE Master. Hit me up, DM me. If they want to email me, it's very simple. info@shortsalemaster.com. Yeah, if you want to call me, 404-914-0905. Y'all got any deals out there that you currently possibly could be a short sale and you just need some help identifying whether or not it is a short sale and wanted to take it to the closing, hit me up. Want to take it to the finish line, hit me up. I'm your guy.
I love it, man. Kendall, I appreciate you for joining us today, man. You gave a lot of information, opened my eyes up to a lot more things about this real estate game, and I know our guests are going to see it too. And I'm excited I feel like we should definitely have you back on to work out some things, and I'm excited about some of the things we can bring to the audience as well with working with you. But yeah, you plugged in where we could find you. If I would say if you have any last bit of advice for the new wholesaler or just someone that is in your position or was in your position in 1999, what would be that last piece of advice you would leave with the audience?
Man, don't listen to your naysayers. Keep going, keep working, stay focused, man. Keep going. You'll get it. Because once you get that first deal, I remember that first deal that's all I needed to get that momentum going. Once you get that momentum going, it's off to the races. But now, for all the newbies with the new information, with the data sources out there, with the programs and systems that are out there, lock in, learn, execute. That's what I can tell you. Execute on the data that you get. Execute on the information that I'm sharing.
Execute.
And I'll leave and say this as well. Short sales, I've still been doing them. Even when the market recovered and, I would say the market kind of recovered whenever it recovered, 2013 and beyond, they never stopped for me. I'm still doing short sales. I'm still doing them now. Not only do I do short sales, over the years doing these short sales, when I've started a short sale, the bank did not accept my offer. They, did not succumb to the real market value of what the property was worth. A lot of the banks just released the loan. So over the years, probably over the 8-year span, I've probably gotten 7 houses free and it made no sense. The banks, okay, you didn't want to take my $10,000 offer, but you released the loan. Okay, thank you. I will take that.
Wow.
And this is recent. I just did a deal with Wells Fargo, and you can go fact check me, 6186 Club Drive. Number one, the homeowner just gave me the house because she had a tenant in there that probably been in there 10 years, never was paying her, probably was just taking advantage of the old lady. So I helped her in the situation. She didn't care about the house. And Wells Fargo, they released a lien on the house. I didn't have to pay anything on the first mortgage, but she did have a home equity line for $5,500. So that's what I paid for the house, $5,500.
Man.
Amazing.
Yo.
I sold it for $87,000. Go check it out.
Yeah,
6186.
Kendall
Ain't
just
nobody
turned
doing
in.
short sales like me. Period.
Kendall just
Point
turned
blank.
into the Drake of this wholesale game. He
Yeah.
dropping addresses now on the live.
I love it. But see, that's real fact line right there. That's real.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Hey man, y'all heard it here from the short sale master himself. I'm your guy, Kai Speaks. Y'all make sure y'all lock in, like, and share this video if you got some game. Comment where you tuning in from, and make sure y'all check out the Short Sale Master on IG and all platforms. Y'all be blessed and stay tuned.